standing alone. Sometimes that's what it feels like we're doing, but you're not. We're here along with the rest of this vast and rapidly growing audience. Welcome back to the Patrick Regan Show on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network and locally on News Talk 98.7 WOKI. Yeah, I'd like to finish up a couple of thoughts real quick from that last half hour. I was mentioning how unchecked government, which is what we're developing in this country, but unchecked government will eventually end up with all of the power and the citizens with no or very little freedom. And people look at totalitarian countries and wonder how they got that way. Well, you're living one of the ways it happens right now. Government continues growing and taking in more and more power and money. It continues dominating the lives of the citizens until one day we look back and realize what's happened, but it's too late to try and change anything. There is so much money and power to be had that it creates a ruling class that doesn't want to give up its privileges. Just listen to all the yelling and screaming anytime we talk about cutting back government. And it's just a couple of percentage points. Why do you think the world is going to end if we don't get a continuing resolution passed this week to fund government? The dirty secret is the government's worried you'll realize we really don't need it for everything. That we can start getting along pretty well without all of its interference. That's why they use emotional arguments instead of logical ones. We talked about how they do that just a couple of weeks ago. You can check our archives at youtube.com/Patrick Regan Show. This week, though, you're going to hear more and more of this. If we do have a government shutdown, expect all of the high-profile offices to be closed. You see, you have to be punished for your insolence. You have to learn your lesson that government has to get all of the money it wants. If you stand up for your rights, well, now you're a fringe anarchist, as Harry Reid called Senator Ted Cruz and the Tea Party. They try to label you as anti-government to marginalize what you have to say in the eyes of people who don't know any better. Well, no, we're not anti-government. We're pro-natural human rights. Harry Reid and all that agree with him, now you're anti-constitutional because you seek to undermine it. There is no way you can make the argument that taking money at the point of a gun from a citizen of the United States of America is not an abuse of rights. None. That doesn't make me anti-government. That makes me anti-abuse of government. If I condemn a police officer for overstepping their authority, that doesn't make me anti-police. It makes me anti-police overstepping their authority. No one is saying get rid of government entirely. What they're saying is stop abusing the people of this country. John Philpott Curran, in a speech about the right of election in 1790, stated this: "It is the common fate of the indolent to see their rights become a prey to the active. The condition upon which God hath given liberty to men is eternal vigilance, which condition if he break, servitude is at once the consequence of his crime and the punishment of his guilt." In other words, you have to keep an eye on the people who will be trying to take away your rights. If you fail to do this, the consequence is serving those who took them. And that's what we're seeing right now in this country. We have a government actively involved in the daily abuse and or the outright removal of our rights, our freedom and liberty. If we don't stop it, we're condemned to serve it. I don't know how much of a better argument I can make for you getting active in reining in this out-of-control government. That quote, by the way, has been attributed to a number of people throughout history, but I wanted to use this version because, one, it's written down so I can be sure of the attribution, and two, it goes into a little bit of detail on why the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. The founders knew what people were like when they get into power. They had the intelligence and the foresight to look down the road and see how things would evolve. That's why they bothered to put all this in writing, these rules by which our government is supposed to live. If they thought people could be trusted, they wouldn't have bothered. But they knew the tendencies toward abuse by humans with authority and knew it had to be chained down by the Constitution, as Thomas Jefferson stated. Here's here's his quote right here. The two enemies of the people are criminals and government. So let us tie the second down with the chains of the Constitution so the second will not become the legalized version of the first. Now, to simplify that, the two enemies of the citizens of this country are criminals and government. If the government doesn't obey the Constitution, then it will become a criminal as well, just with legal authority. Again, which is what we're seeing right now. The government is engaging in actions that should you do them, you'd be charged with a crime. That should tell you something's wrong. I said it last week. Either we all stand equally before the law, or our country isn't the beacon of freedom and liberty we say it is. We as humans don't have a very good track record of dealing with power. We tend to abuse those over whom we have authority. You see it in business. You see it in government. You even see it in personal relationships. To re-emphasize the point, the founders knew all of this. That's why they spent so much time writing about the abuses of government, warning us what would occur if we don't constantly watch out for it. You know, very few people can deal with having authority and using it wisely. You know these people at work, people sitting on neighborhood committees, probably even some of your friends. These people start out by being elected to some position and then seemingly go crazy and lose all logic and reason. You ever wonder why most religions promote serving others, promote humbling yourself? If you want to be a leader, you have to wash the feet of those you lead. Look at cults. For the most part, their purposes are the exact opposite. The purpose there is to serve the needs of the cult leader. Give him all of your money, or her all of your money, all of your worldly possessions. Does that not sound eerily familiar to government today? We have this cult of government. We have this exalted leader, not necessarily the president, but just government in general. It's living off the hard work of the subjects, almost like a king. We have the media who buys into this cult and operates as the propaganda arm of it. Now, not all media, but the mainstream media certainly bought into it. Their job is to sell to the masses the dictates of the cult leader, in this case, government. This idea that government can do no wrong, that anything the government does is legal and justified. Interestingly, when President Nixon said pretty much the same thing, everyone went crazy. Hold on, I've got it right here. Yeah, this is President Nixon.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
When the president does it, that means it's not illegal. Here it is again.
Well, when the president does it, that means that it is not illegal.
I think a whole lot of people in government would add, and when government does it, then that means it's not illegal either. All right. We're up on the last break of the Patrick Riggins Show here on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network and News Talk 98.7 WOKI. When we come back, we'll talk about Iran and their little nuclear program before the hour's over. Join us in a little bit for that here on the Patrick Riggins Show. We'll be right back.